It is the last of its kind on its first trip to Oshkosh. The Spruce Goose may have been bigger, but the Martin Mars holds the record as the largest flying boat ever flown operationally, first as a long-range Navy troop and freight transport, then it was converted for fire suppression. It carries water, a lot of water, more than 7,000 gallons, enough to cover 4 acres during each pass. Only 7 were built, and only 2 remain, both owned by Coulson Flying Tankers of British Columbia. And it's as impressive on the inside as it is on the outside.
The flight engineers nowadays have been replaced by computer boxes. For this particular vintage of aircraft, not practical, so the flight engineer has to manage all the aircraft systems for the pilot. He's the onboard aircraft system manager and operator sort of thing, eh? So he controls all the electrical, all the fire control systems, emergency systems, engines, propellers, fuel control, and the pilot strictly flies the airplane. The pilot flies the airplane, got his head out the window all the time, and as you can well imagine at low level, you're traveling at 120 knots. You certainly don't want any distraction up there whatsoever. And as you can see from the systems and the complication here, there's just no way the pilot could sit up front and do this and fly the airplane at the same time. Everything has been removed from the 1946 era, and it's all modern day and very well laid out and very functional for the pilot to reference during flight operations or whatever, right? This is, as you can see, the surfaces on this aircraft are very large and they're fabric and they're very heavy. The rudder and the elevator are hydraulically assisted. The aileron is a straight mechanical link. So you got to have a pretty strong arm to fly this airplane. It's amazing how maneuverable this aircraft really is. You can put an air turner on a dime. On the water, she's a boat. You're more like a ship's captain up here trying to maneuver this boat. You're at the helm, and it maneuvers quite nicely with the engines.
So how does the world's largest flying boat handle in the air? Like a boat or an airplane?
This thing flies like the Death Star from Star Wars. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit heavier on the controls. The elevator and the rudder are actually boosted, so they're really not bad. The ailerons are actually aerodynamically assisted, you know, with some freeze-type ailerons. So it doesn't fly bad. When you're sitting in the cockpit, when you walk in, it's a really big cockpit. But sitting up in the seat, you know, with the pilot and the co-pilot and the panel, you don't realize how big the airplane is. And granted, you know, it's kind of slow and you know, a little bit heavy on the controls if you try and rack it around, but basically I think it flies like it should, and it's a grand old lady, and I can't believe they're still flying it.